Hello, this is Leonard Adams, and I am reading from my book, Things I Wish My Father Had Told Me, which is available on Amazon. I'm reading from page 124, which is titled, Listen with the Intent to Understand, rather than with the intent to reply. And the passage goes on this way. The test to see if you listen with the intent to reply is pretty simple. Do you think about how you are going to respond while the other person is talking? In other words, do you think of your answer while the person's talking before they've gotten a chance to finish what they've had to say? Do you repeat a response over and over in your head so that you won't forget it while the other person is still talking? So are you trying to memorize a response because you can't go over and over a response in your head, trying to memorize it so you can repeat it the way you want to and listen to what that other person has to say at the same time? Do you impatiently wait for them to take a breath so you can interject? Are you listening to the words, or are you listening for the breath so that you can put your words in? Do you interrupt them while they are still talking in order to get your point across? A yes to any of these means you listen with the intent to reply. By the way, you cannot interrupt someone and be actually listening to them at the same time. I mean, actually listening to them, not to try to catch a particular word or phrase that you can hop on to make your point. That's not listening. By the way, interrupting someone else when they're talking communicates to them that you believe that your point is more important than theirs. To listen with the intent to understand is to not think of your response while the other person is talking. After all, if you're telling the truth, you don't have to think about it. The truth is easy. It's the lies that are hard. It's the misrepresentations that are hard. It's the trying to twist things in your favor that's hard. It's much harder than simply telling the truth. To listen with the intent to understand is to ask questions of the other person with the intent to understand from their point of view, not yours. Remember, again, it's not asking questions in order to interrogate a person to get them to agree with your assessment of the way things are. It is asking honest questions of them to try to understand their point of view, not to try to justify or prove your point of view. Finally, to listen with the intent to understand is to slow down, to listen with the heart, or listen to their heart, and not just to their words. Remember, we talked about the context of someone's heart is way more important than the content of the dictionary. In other words, just because they used a particular word doesn't mean that they meant what you thought they meant. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they meant what the dictionary says the word means. And that's why we listen with the intent to understand. Slow down, listen to their heart and not just their words, and to repeat what they said back to them in such a way that they will agree you have their words and intent right. So it's repeating back what they've said, it's asking questions, and not doing it in a bad way, not doing it to mock at all, but doing it because you really, really want to understand their point of view, particularly if it doesn't agree with yours. So when I ask the questions and then I respond back to them and they say, yes, that's what I meant, then you know you've listened to them. Everyone wants to be listened to. You want to be listened to, and so does the person you're talking to. We all want to be heard, and it's equally fair to be heard as to want to hear. We can't have one overcome the other. We must allow people to be heard just as we want to be heard. And that will bring beauty and wholeness and completion to your relationships. Please like, subscribe to, and share this channel. And together, let's heal the world.